Welcome back, everybody, to part two uh, with an exciting new sport game.
Yeah, I'll introduce you all. So, for those who don't know, jamming is actually the subject of one of the packs in Moth-Light to come. It hasn't been included into the current rules, but I don't know. It just is a fun science fiction element, future roller derby. You've seen it in Alita Battle Angel and other in Death Ball, all kinds of stuff, and it's just a fun one to think about. That I'm not even a big sports guy, but I just really wanted to design that. So we enter in. We see all of you in the locker rooms waiting for the announcement, and we go to the big stage where there's a big production, and we look out into the stands. And whereas we might expect in in the original version of this setting, when this game used to be played, there would be like all kinds of sports fans waiting, but we look out and it's just like clans people and their children. Maybe there's even like maybe there's even like a some kind of pack animal like being led out into the arena. And they're just as excited as you would expect any kind of sports fans would be. And they're yelling and what have you, and the announcer comes in and says, we have a special treat preseason event for all of you. Visitors have arrived in our Warren, and we are going to treat you to a legendary, unofficial, mind you, jamming session. Today we have, of course, our favorite, the Wild Pack, led by ours truly, Lemon's Wild. Lemon's Wild, come on out. And he's going to come out to like fireworks, essentially, like digital fireworks off in the background, and needs no introduction, essentially. In the other corner, we have, and then the spotlight comes down on you, Sequa. What is your team name?
Oh, damn it. We didn't talk about this.
No.
This is an important team leader.
You probably wouldn't have talked about it.
Sequel will kind of just stand there and just be. The sequence.
And this is straight up that scene from Fifth Element where what's his face puts the mic in front of someone and just the sequence. That's basically what the sequence is.
Best announcer of all time.
Leading the sequence today, their speaker, straight out of Fallen Leaf, Sequa. Huh? I wonder where they got their name.
Just breathe.
Joining their team. It's a trio match today. First up, we have Vholt. Vholt, what position will you be playing today? It's like an interviewer essentially interviewing you.
Yeah, we're in the lockers though, like.
No, you're coming out on stage.
Okay. I think Vholt will respond like center. Well, I think that's what they call it.
Sure. Yeah. That works. And you two, which of you will be our jammer today?
Ketu just looks over at T.S.E.E.R.
Good choice. It's a good choice.
Yeah. T.S.E.E.R will step up.
Well, it looks like we have some newbies. For all of you who are just attending today, for all the children in the audience, jamming is an ancient sport, honored by our ancestors and recovered by ourselves. Today, the rules that we play with are very simple for this preseason match. Get your ball to their side and score a goal. Put it through the hoop. Each point will be added to the leaderboard, and at the end of the game, the team with the most number of points wins. Only your jammer can score, though, so it's up to the rest of your team to make sure that happens. Out of character, there is actually a special mechanic for the jamming pact for these matches. Basically, I'm going to start an 8-segment clock. This clock works very much like other clocks that you might imagine, but with a twist. Each time you make an action in the ring, the position of that action has a numerical value, as we kind of know as designers of Forged in the Dark games, of 1 to 3, right? Every time you make an action, I add segments to that clock equal to the position. It doesn't matter what you score. This is just tracking the tension of the match. After you get to a certain number of segments, you as a team can score a goal, so long as you have the ball, of course. But if that clock fills, your opponent has a chance to score a goal. So it's a matter of push and pull. If it is full, they don't score automatically. You have to get a consequence that they might score as a consequence of an action that you do. But if you are in the sweet spot, you guys get a chance to score. I will find a nice spot here on our sheets to add this clock so that we all have it available to us. One moment. And for all of you following along the Google Sheets, you can just click on my icon to find it. So we are currently at 0 out of 8. And the sweet spot for this match, just to make it a little tough for you all, because you're a little out of your league, will be you need to be at 7 out of 8 segments. In the official game, that would go up after each match. So it starts at like 5 out of 8, and it goes up until it is basically 8 out of 8. Like you have to be neck and neck to score. The goal here is to make big moves. Whenever you do desperate actions, you have more chances. You fill up this clock quicker, and you make it more exciting for the viewers. It's also more dangerous for you. If you take your time, that's more opportunity for your opponents to kind of mess with you, for them to get the ball, etc. So make it interesting for yourselves and for the audience. Out of character, we do a little span of the arena, and they say, all right, it's time to choose your equipment. And a cart is drawn up, and they pull off a cloth, and what you see before you is a bunch of jamming gear of various sorts. So we have hover skates, we have classic roller skates, we have a Back to the Future style hoverboard, anything that is could be considered personal transportation equipment, essentially, in the far future is available to you. What do you choose?
I think Vholt immediately reaches for any pair. It's probably the oldest stuff, simultaneously because it's probably more predecessory, or you know what I mean. But also, I think Vholt definitely wants to stay on the ground.
Yeah, so maybe you choose some mag skates or some magnet powered roller skates or something like that.
Yeah.
Or inline skates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. Mm-hmm. Ketu.
I think Ketu is going to grab this big old. It's like a surfboard, right?
Yeah. We were talking about Slug Blaster earlier, so
yeah, in the air.
Would feel free. Yeah, off camera. I love it. Yeah, this is straight up the the pink skateboard that.
It's like a surfboard though.
It's a surfboard. It's huge.
Yeah, it's 6 feet long, or something.
Awesome. No, that's great. Interesting choice. And use the machine.
I don't think T.S.E.E.R picks anything.
I like it. Intriguing. This is going to be an interesting match, everyone. All right. Get to your corners. It's almost time to jam. And
Come
I
on and
think
slam.
unlike you, Sequa, and I don't think it's expected. Actually, I think what it is Lemon's Wild actually goes to one of his players and has a little talk, and he is like, kind of looks to you, and he has a little. The referee is also there, and then the referee comes back and is like, "This is unexpected. Lemons is calling a substitution. He's going to join the match. We haven't seen this. we haven't seen this in decades." Like everyone in the audience just like, whoa, just like talking with each other. And he's kind of looking to you to see if you'll do the same. He's trying to one-up you.
He's trying. I'm guessing for the speakers or something, like, is there like a microphone
Yes.
or like a megaphone?
Yeah.
I think Sequa is gonna probably like, maybe it's like set up a little bit from like the main stage area of like where the game's actually played. It's like this little another platform that's sort of attached. Sequa just like looks at him and just just walks to her spot because she is going to speak the entire time, as she said that she would.
All right. Interesting choice. Well, as we get to our corners, someone comes over and is like talking to you all. It's like, I know you're all new to this. Don't worry. It's not about who wins or loses. It's about honoring our ancestors. And, if you, whatever you do, just don't throw the match. And I'm sure it'll be fine. So any questions, about like how to do this or what to do?
I think Vholt kind of like looks to the ground next to this person who's trying to like be like, everything's gonna be fine, and there's maybe like some like blood or something on the ground. And he's like,
there's definitely some
is
dried
there
blood.
wait
Is this a full contact
yeah, is this
sport?
this isn't going to be dangerous. We're going to go well, we were going to leave after this, right? We're going to be able to leave.
Yes. If you can still walk, you will be able to leave.
Cold sweat.
The countdown starts. And then there's just like a shot of each of the players and the speakers, like looking determined. What do you look like in your close-up? As like you each get a spot on the big screen.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's an actual camera looking at us.
Yeah, there's actual. It's future technology, so they just have to point a camera and it does all the work for them, like editing it live, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
what do
absolutely.
Yeah. Imagine that. So what? Yeah, Volt. What does your face look like?
I
Can
think
you see your nervousness?
Yeah, right. Like it's the cold sweat. Like and Volt maybe has like some sort of small. He probably took off the majority of his like traveling gear. He has a ton of stuff he carries with him probably, but maybe he has like one like pad that's like just snaps to his belt or something like that, and he's like kind of. You see him just like looking like he's looking at a data pad, and maybe the camera pans down for a second, and Volt. Like people probably like laugh at him. He's like looking at like rules or like something important, like, oh, how do I make this okay?
Oh, buddy.
That could come in useful later. We'll see. But to contrast with you, we get a shot of someone on the opposing team, and they're just like, "Arr!" And then we go over to Ketu.
I think Ketu is like playing around with this hover surfboard, and they have like a JanSport backpack, like, and they're wearing it on the front,
Yes. I like it.
Kid just got given the keys to the Lamborghini.
We flash over to your opposing player, and they just sort of have like that cool guy, like steely stare kind of going on. And to talk about their equipment too, I think they're all wearing, like the two defensive players on their team are wearing, that we just saw, are wearing kind of like essentially rocket skates. Like that's kind of their thing, like hover skates. But then Lemons, I think, is wearing something a little flashier, and we'll talk about that soon. T.S.E.E.R, when the camera goes to you, is your face all that expressionate? I know that the owl,
Yeah, so
from Clash of the Titans, it is.
So his expression isn't really showing much because it's one, it's a hawk's face, which doesn't show much expression to begin with,
Right.
and two, it's made of metal. But I think the interesting thing is that he looks like he's limbering up, like in the way that like a mixed martial artist would. But it looks really strange because he's not in the shape of a human, he's in the shape of a large bird. And I don't think he really realizes that he's doing it. It's just like muscle memory.
And we flash over, people are just kind of like in awe of that you're even just there. But then we contrast that with Lemons Wild, who just like does a slow wink at the camera. And then ding, it's time. And you're off. What does that look like for T.S.E.E.R? Like, you do literally blast off? Like, do you have jets? Do you fly like soundlessly through the air?
It's definitely not soundless. I think there's a significant amount of noise in the form of like whirring and clicking, but it's not jet powered either. Like he is mechanically flying.
Would you like to make a roll of some kind as you compete with Lemons for like possession of the ball, which has just been like tossed into the arena and is just kind of bouncing and rolling some distance ahead of you?
Absolutely. I would like to try to get there first.
And how do you want, how much do you want to push this roll? How exciting is it? I'll let you decide the position.
Oh, make it desperate. Give me that desperate action.
Beautiful. I'm adding 3 points to our clock. So, yeah, this is like a straight up race towards, like, all out race towards this ball, with defensive players that are coming in the back. The ball is like bouncing over all these obstacles that you have to like maneuver around. They're mostly, imagine just like the craziest skate park you can think of. That's kind of the gist of what this arena looks like. Nice. Lemon sees what he's up against and like clicks his fingers and just sparkles come out of the back of his skates, and like his elbows maybe too, like maybe he has like some kind of like elbow things that also it looks kind of fabulous, and he is gunning it towards it as fast as he can. This is a desperate action, but you're I think because of your abilities, your effect is standard. If you succeed, you'll have the ball. It's just a question, but I think that you might get roughed up in the process. So that's what's at stake here.
Could I potentially assist?
Yes. Tell me how.
I am going to start talking. But it's going to probably take everyone else by surprise because she like has the microphone. Let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah, we haven't seen you be, we know you can be charismatic, right? Yeah. And like exciting, but we just haven't seen it with these people. So it would definitely be a shock if suddenly you're stealing the stage.
Exactly. And that's my whole job. And like the sequins, her jacket that was like turned inside out from like when the moths were before is back to flashy. So like under the neon lights and everything, it's like, sparkles and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would love to give you an assist.
Because everything's digital, you can even have like some control over like what's displayed and like what kind of noises are made, that kind of stuff. So yeah, spend a stress and offer up an extra die. T.S.E.E.R, what action is this that you're rolling?
Either fly or maneuver.
Fly makes
fly,
a lot of
fly literally.
Fly makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we're probably going to see a lot of that action during this match.
Yeah. I would like to spend a supply point for effect.
Ooh.
Because
Excellent.
I have this supply here called Ancient Lore. I think T.S.E.E.R has played this game before.
You think yeah, some part of T.S.E.E.R has played this game before. I love it. I will allow it. Yeah, I think that extra effect translates to like you'll get a hefty lead on lemons if you get this.
Okay.
So like he won't be in a position to get the ball right away, essentially.
All right. Were you going to say something?
Nope.
5.
A 5. You get the ball, but he does put up a fight. So we see you reach the ball handily, like blowing him out of the water, but he doesn't give up. And I think that what's more, we kind of see some of his abilities, and you'll be free to resist this, or someone can resist it for you. But I mean, this is potentially level 3 harm coming your way, as he actually I think Nychelle, especially since you're part of this action, you can feel this. He attunes to something in the environment and like has something rise up from the floor, like an obstacle that you didn't anticipate. Like it straight up comes up in your way, that kind of a thing. And you will kind of crash up against it and then rebound for a moment, unless you want to resist this somehow.
Remind me how resisting works.
Resistance works. So I think in this case, it's definitely prowess to resist this. So I choose the attribute. You roll your dice based on what that attribute is. And you're going to take stress actually equal to, in Moth-Light, you take stress equal to the lowest die. So there's no math involved. You just take the lowest die in stress.
Okay. Then yeah, I will resist that. So that gives me 3d6. 2.
So take 2 stress as you carefully dodge out of the way. I am going to be harsh though and say you do get a level 2 harm here. So like you crash. Tell me how you crash up against this thing, but recover and look cool.
I think it's. I think it comes up in front of me, and I spread my tail feathers and bank up, like straight up. And it prevents me from running headlong into it, but I scrape the undercarriage of my chassis in the process.
For you, this might be the first time like I can give a harm that's just banged up and it makes a different kind of sense. Yeah, so go ahead and write that on your character sheet.
Okay.
But you have the ball, and there's one way, if none of you have seen roller derby, one of the way you can defend, even if your jammer if the lead is going like faster than you, is you can wait. Right, you can wait for your jammer to come back around, your lead to come back around, and protect them while they do. So that's like kind of how defense might work in this game too. The reason you can't score a goal yet is because the goal has not revealed itself. The goal will literally pop up at the appointed moment and like appear somewhere in the arena. At which point you can jam. But for now, like everyone is just cheering you on, seeing like who will have control of the ball when it does appear. What are the rest of you doing?
Can I do a setup action?
Yes, but I think I would like to hear from the other people in the arena first.
Sure. I think Ketu is angling to check one of the other opposing centers, like swooping over and like body checking them, and
you're getting aggressive. You're getting into the mood. All right.
Ketu's familiar with the game.
Yeah. So we start with how much supply a lot?
You start with 4. If you used any, you should be marking that off.
Okay.
But yeah, you start with it all full.
Okay.
Mhm.
So then I'll mark that. So I'd like to spend a point to say I collected, like I've made disgusting water balloons from like the tram water.
Oh, wow. So like basically mosquito water is what you're talking about here. Okay. Yeah. You can have done so.
All right.
What is your action that you're trying to do? You're trying to clash with this person?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Clash.
Okay. So yeah, they're a rough and tumble jammer. So this is going to be risky, right? For sure. And you will have, I don't know, are you a tough individual, would you say? Kedu? You have clash.
Yeah.
Actually you have a fair amount in prowess, and you have clash and whisper. So definitely, especially like sneaky potentially. Yeah, you have standard effect here. And this would definitely set up your jammer for scoring.
Sure. Do you have a bargain? Or anyone has a bargain?
I mean, the clear one is like you wipe out for a bit, and you like, or no, maybe you score a penalty that you didn't even know about.
Okay.
No mosquito water in this game.
Yeah. What is it? Does that penalty translate to a less ticks or what?
The penalty would actually be like I said, maybe like you go to the penalty box, you know.
All right.
But maybe that's like, maybe it's a fun penalty box in some sense, but still you'd be unable to help for a bit.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right then.
All right. So yeah, I'll allow that. Are you going to be using that for extra dice?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now we're at a 5 out of 8 on the heat clock. That's what this is.
All right. 5.
5. What does this look like? You successfully wiped them out.
Yeah. So I swoop over with the surfboard and shoulder check them, and then like with my other hand grab the water balloon out of the backpack and splash it in their face.
Fling it in their face. Yeah, and they're not like they're ready to come and like check you back, but then they just don't expect that, like and they crash like headlong into an obstacle. But then the referee is like, "Oh, we have our first penalty. No outside tools or objects in the arena. Ketu, you're on timeout." And basically, like some lights will light up below you to kind of point you to the penalty box, essentially.
Right.
But do you have like a smug smile on your face as you go there? Yeah. Of course you do.
Who knows how old that water is?
Mm-hmm. Nychelle, you want to do a setup action?
Yes. Kind of knowing what Lemon was doing, I would like to attune to recognizing like what else is going on. Like obviously the home team on their home field is always going to have the biggest advantage. So I want to take some of that away from them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you see this as what is it you want to, I understand the gist of like of what you said, but what is it actually you want to do? What's the goal of this action that you're going to do?
Goal of this action is possibly doing some blocks or something like that. So like some of that floor to come up and block some people that are going after one of
You're
our...
You're playing his game.
Yes.
Okay. What action are you going to use? Attune?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to start you out, at least for this first initial attunement, at limited effect, because this isn't your home turf. You're not familiar with like the mental map of this arena so to speak, yet. You can definitely push for extra effect if you want. The issue of limited effect being like, I think that you can accomplish this, but it might be a little awkward at first. It might not be as big of an advantage as you want for this first. Basically, less. I'm gonna give you less effect is like the potential penalty here. So go ahead and pick up your dice pool. Do you want to push yourself? Do you have any resources you want to use? This is just a setup action, so I'm going to put it at controlled for you, right? Thinking about it, actually, I think this would actually be risky.
I think it would be
arguing that you could fuck something up for one of your own teammates, right? Like if this is
and I am going to go ahead and push myself to gain effect. Because that just makes a lot of sense.
It does.
A 2, a 1, a 6.
Oh, you're getting the feel for this arena. What is it you're finding? Like, what is it you see here that you use to your advantage? I think one thing I'll give you is like this looks like a jamming arena now, but there's like actually a lot of control over what this space looks like. Like it could become just a flat stage. It could become all kinds of shapes, and there's all kinds of obstacles that you can produce and stuff like that. What do you grasp onto?
I think part of the control mechanism is a hacked in robotic moth, very similar to the one that she found back in the
wow
military.
I kind of love that. Like some kind of recess just opens up and rising up is just an ancient machine that is just like suddenly it's only just now becoming activated, and like maybe people are like going like screaming is happening in the background. But whenever you come by it, T.E.E.R, you just like whiz by this thing without a thought. And Lemons is like, what? What the fuck? And like, sorry for all the swearing. And and has a little bit more of a struggle. T.E.E.R, your next action is actually going to be in the score zone. So you have a setup action there.
Heard from Vholt in a minute.
That's true. Vholt. You could set up a scoring opportunity here.
Yeah. I think Vholt was probably literally like being relatively inactive. He was probably like standing there while Ketu like went to get the first person kind of like knocked out of the stuff. And I think Vholt was probably like scrolling through the rules. He probably like read the rule about no outside tools as Ketu was getting the call on him. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see that one. And he probably like snaps this thing down to his waist after his thing. He's like, okay, all right, this should be fine. I don't think it's they put it here, and I think Vholt is going to try to like herd or convince you. You mentioned that they were putting some sort of creature into the arena. There was some sort of like
livestock. They being Nychelle. There is now a confused robotic moth kind of looking thing.
I had heard originally that it sounded like they put some of like the livestock into the arena at the beginning. Maybe I'm wrong.
In the stands. Yes, there's animals in the stands.
Oh, they're not inside the pit.
No.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but now there's an animal. Let's say that it looks kind of termite-esque, like a termite drone-esque kind of looking mechanical thing.
Sure.
It's a small one. You know, it's like probably like large dog sized, we'll say.
Oh, definitely not dangerous. Totally safe to go by.
Yeah, sure.
It's bigger than T.E.E.R.
That did not help him at all.
Well, you're the speaker. I don't know. You're the one who does the magical stuff or
Listen,
whatever.
I just gotta score 1 point before everything goes to shit, and then we win.
Good. I mean, that could be how this goes.
I think rather than trying to interact with the strange thing, I think Vholt is going to try to break something or like try to use something in the environment
It's
to
fair.
like be in the way. Like obstacles are like springing up in the path. Just like trying to knock one over maybe, or like trying to get it
Absolutely.
to go in their way as people are skating around.
Would it be kind of funny to see like people are whizzing around this arena and Vholt is just standing there like fiddling with something that then is like something happens like that could that be interesting, or do you want to also be like part of this game?
Oh no, I definitely think Vholt is probably like looking around for like the right object or something like that. But I think he's still going to approach it from like a ruin standpoint. Speaking of the skills,
Yeah.
So he probably isn't like whizzing around or anything. He's probably like probably well enough off skating over to an object, not trying to like keep up with people or anything. Like if he was going in the course, it would not be going well. But yeah, like not like falling over like a dog in a car or something like that. But
yeah, then go ahead and tell me what action you're going to do and what you want to achieve.
So it'll be ruin, and one of the obstacles that they've sprung up that would be potentially blocking T.E.E.R, because they're probably putting a lot more like vertical blockages. I'm going to make it a much more like horizontal or like closer to the floor, where hopefully it'll impede them more than T.E.E.R.
Beautiful. This is a tense moment. This is a desperate potentially moment, but the desperate consequence is just going to be that the opposing team will score, because we've now with this action advanced filled the clock and they have the opportunity to do so. And the tension that I'll give you is Ketu is out for the moment. They'll be back in soon, but right now we see two of the defensive players like coming in, like honing in on T.E.E.R, trying to crowd them out, while Lemon's Well comes from behind to try and steal the ball. And this is the opportunity to score, as like suddenly a horizontal like hoop appears out of the side of the arena and like lights up. It's now or nothing. How do you make the way? Let's build some dice. I'm going to say you kind of needed that setup action by Nychelle, because you're outnumbered. Essentially, your jammer is outnumbered 3-1 in this situation.
Yeah.
Since you're kind of not participating in that same way, but that setup action means that this will have standard effect for sure.
Cool. I will push myself for +1 die then.
Yes.
And that'll be it. So I have 2 dice. And then fingers crossed, which is all I have. A 4 and a 6. That's not so bad.
Hey.
Beautiful. Describe how you basically pave the way for T.E.E.R to just like jam this thing. Slam the jam.
Yeah, so they've been putting up like I imagine the construction of this place, especially considering how like fluid it is almost like neon lighty. Like it's not like steel barriers. It's probably almost like fields of energy, maybe a little bit. So like Vholt is kind of like circling slowly this like post they kind of made in the middle of somewhere to make it more difficult for T.E.E.R to like cruise through constantly, especially with like a wingspan as opposed to like normal people being vertical in their orientation. And I think Vholt kind of like keeps looking at it or like circling around, and since all of these objects can like kind of flow upwards and downwards, there's kind of like cracks or seams in all of like the different parts, and I think Volt's just like waiting or like looking for a specific like opening or like the largest one, and he kind of like jams something in there, like or like pries his skate into it or something like that, just kind of like kicks it extremely hard, and and then with a bit of effort, kind of just like slams his shoulder into it and kind of like scatters these little like field projections effectively that were like.
Oh wow! So like energy fields like pop up and just like take out the blockers essentially for this situation.
Yeah, it's almost like scattering marbles, like but it's like terrain.
I like the idea that they're not completely solid, but they like totally throw them off or something. Maybe it's like Ooh, I like the idea that maybe if they pop up, this energy field pops up, and it displayed on it is like maintenance or something like that. Like it's some kind of like maintenance, like prevention, like maintenance quarantine like field or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Caution advised.
And it just throws them, it scatters them off to the sides. Seer, how do you take this now? You don't have to make an action, you just do it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the goal look like? Is it just a hoop on a post, or? It's
kind of like a metal hoop on like a vertical, like imagine a basketball hoop, but turn it 45 degrees. So you just like you just have to jam it through the other side,
yeah.
Basically.
So I think it looks like he's coming in super duper fast. And essentially he throws the ball through with one talon and then uses the other one to spin around the pole to keep his momentum up and just like whiplashes off of it.
Beautiful. And there's like a big horn that sounds, and everyone is like, oh, we get the reactions, like Lemon like goes to his knees like, no. And we're waiting, expecting, I think like Vholt would know, like usually there's multiple rounds in this, but then like there's some glitching on the displays, and we look over and like that one moth is like chasing people around, like some warriors have come in to like, you know, keep it away from the folks. But we then see that like, oh, it wasn't just one. There's like now 2 or 3 more that have come out of this hole that Nychelle you've made, and they basically won you the game because they've disrupted everything. So like you're going around this arena. You've just been let out of the penalty box as the score happens, by the way, Ketu. We're going around the arena, Seer, and suddenly there's 2 of these things in front of you, like coming straight at you. What do you do?
You said they look like termites?
Yes.
The size of large dogs.
Mm-hmm. And very sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe to drive home the termite thing, like what we see, one of them is just like chewing on the console, essentially. Mm-hmm. That's why the glitching is happening. They just have these powerful, crushing jaws. Yeah.
So I think it takes him half a second to realize what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Seer's like doing loops.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's definitely some whiplash, like as far as like figuring out what's going on.
And then he switches into attack mode essentially, and brings his talons down and is going to rake them across the head of the one that is chewing on the console. So
excellent. Flash would make a lot of sense. I am going to give you that this is standard risky for Clash. They do each have a clock though. Okay. And there might be ways to deal with multiple of them at a time, depending on how you describe your action. But for now, each of them has a 4 clock, essentially.
Okay.
I just have a question really quick. Because you're setting the risky, controlled that situation, the position, that's really where I was looking for. I know in Moth-Light, there's like a mechanic that is like the tone. Is there
Correct.
a tone that was set, or I just wanted to see if that
That's
was
a good
something that
point.
was interacting with anything?
No, that's a great point. I've been using language that I know you all are familiar with, but technically in Moth-Light, we don't just set the position. We essentially are moving a track called the tone tracker, and at this point, I think it would, because of this game, it's currently at risky, and because of the actions of the previous session, right? So currently we're at risky for the tone of the game, period. And that's what I'm going to default to for most actions. I can still use other positions if it makes sense for that specific situation, for how you described what you're doing, for what you bargained for. But currently, most actions that you take are going to be risky. There are ways to improve that. After this game, it will probably be reduced to controlled again, because once the danger has passed, unless like wild stuff happens and you escalate everything even more, at which point it could go to desperate or potentially even perilous, depending on the fiction. So this is kind of like a way for us to track not just what position of roles you're likely to run up against, but for you, the players, to look at and be like, oh, things are bad. Like we're at a default desperate tone for our game right now, which means like we things are bad and we feel bad probably, versus if you're in controlled, things are good and you probably feel positive about your chances of overcoming it.
Okay, I was just curious.
Thank you for asking that. That's a great question.
Now, because I'm using my talons, which I am calling my natural defenses.
Yep.
Which are a trapping of my playbook. Do I get increased effect, or is that already taken into account? Okay.
No, absolutely, you get increased effect whenever you show us that you're using those.
Okay.
So, do we see these? Do these talents have to be like bared? Like, do they come out, or are they always there, and we just see them being used for the first time?
I think this is the first time we're really seeing them being used. I think it might be that by default the talons are dull, but then because he has to walk on them, but there are like diamond or steel tips that push out when he's attacking with them.
That'll definitely put you at a good effect level. That would be 3 out of the 4 ticks for this termite.
Okay.
If you have some way to raise your effect even more, or if someone like joins you to increase your scale, that could possibly do it.
My poor metallic babies.
Do you want to join in, Nychelle?
I think she wants to help the moths.
Does Sequa join in this clash action?
Not for
right there.
Killing the distraction.
Okay.
That's fair. Not for killing the distraction. Maybe yeah. I don't know.
It is dangerous. It is dangerous to you. Like they're literally threatening people in the arena too, right? The players and stuff.
I could assist on this if it would help.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be clear, this would require you like join in the action. So this is like a group action if you want to increase scale, right? Because yeah. So go ahead and if you're a friend or rival, go ahead and roll 1 or 0 if you aren't.
Yeah, we are friends.
Yep. Oh, got a 3.
6.
Beautiful. You destroy this thing, and we get to see your talons in action as you just like slash through and hack through this thing. And it's of a size that like you probably just turn it into bits and pieces, right? With this
shredded metal.
But I do think it's interesting that you're not the only one fighting this thing. Ketu, how do you come in and like help keep the opening, or like make an opening, or contribute to the action?
Yeah.
It's just more water bombs.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, it could be you crash into it like with your board,
Yeah.
right, or something like that.
Yeah, I think I like I'm zooming towards it and then like flip the front of the board up and just slam into it. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. So that's one taken out. If we want to take them out, there's a few more. Nychelle, Vholt. There's a lot of chaos happening. Is Sequa looking to maybe use this as a distraction to escape, or are you going to stay and help these people?
I think she'll just kind of use like a kill switch. Same thing with what she did with the last ones.
Right. You're going to try and... Now there's 3 of them this time. You're going to try and put them down with a single like flick of your finger. Is that the idea?
They were already the way I'm seeing it is they were already technically alive and helping run the arena. Like whatever machinery is behind this, they're part of it.
I think that they were, they were, whether it was like they were maintenance robots or security, we don't know, but that's not their function anymore.
No, I think Sequa is going to try to get them to go back to doing that. Of just
you're gonna like reboot,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, they can be used by the people here for other things if they so wish, but get them to shut down right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that would be a different clock altogether. So like that is like a 6-segment clock that you could do.
Okay.
Reboot then. Because that has some fictional, that's interesting fictionally that you can do that, I think. But that said, you would have standard, like if you're tuning, you would have standard effect. Is that the tactic you want to go with?
Yes, because that's how I've actually been able to connect with them. So I don't think Sequa would know of another way of...
I have a devil's bargain for you.
What's that?
You have to make physical contact again.
Okay.
All right, that's gonna raise your. That's gonna reduce your positions, and that's a desperate action.
Okay.
But it will definitely raise your effect level.
Yes, it definitely would. Would anyone like to assist, or you?
I think Vholt was going to. He has at least enough. Even if the other New Steel Warren isn't necessarily like his, the idea to protect or help other people. So I was going to probably rush over. I don't know if it would be necessarily assisting Sequa. I guess we could flavor it that way. I was going to go over and try to help the warriors. I don't think Vholt himself would necessarily be the one to like try to destroy this thing, but
yeah, it's all part of one melee in some sense. Like it's a expansive one. Like they're all over, but you are kind of still in the same fight, whatever is happening. So we can definitely flavor helping out generally as helping out Nychelle. Sequa in this case.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Go ahead and spend it. Yeah, go ahead and spend a stress.
Yep.
So Sequa, you get an extra d6.
Okay.
Consequences harm for you because you're getting up close and personal.
Yeah, figured that one would probably come down. A 3, a 3, a 1, a 6.
You're intentionally reading them in that order, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Gotta help the GM somewhat.
The thing is snapping and comes at you, but you find some way to like lay a hand on it without getting bitten. How?
Kind of like waves one hand.
Hmm.
And I think like the sequins on her jacket are like really flashy, so it's kind of like one of those. I don't remember what they call them. The bull that keep with the red capes and everything. Or they like try to distract the bull to just essentially like go right by
Matador.
them.
Matador capes. Yeah.
So like she's kind of like using her sequins and everything, and just drops her arm and then just touches it as it wanders by, and it probably just like crashes into the.
Yeah, it starts glitching out. It is only at 3 out of 6. As like, I think you only need to essentially interact with one of them to get them all. But it is going to be a process. So like this one starts glitching out, but another one is coming in to kind of protect it. We see the other two essentially crawling over the arena to get onto the stage with you. And there's a moment where like you're in danger here. What do people do?
I'm finding Lemon's eyes and I'm giving him eye contact.
Does the rest of your team create an opportunity for you potentially?
Not threateningly, but maybe. It's up to you guys on whether or not you want to do that.
Yeah, I will set up an action. I think he sees what she's doing or attempting to do and makes the connection to what she was doing before with the other moth. And I think he is in actuality attempting to bring them around to do another strafing run and attack them. But what he's doing here is maneuvering around them in such a way as to distract them.
Right.
So they can't get too close to me to technically do harm just yet before the glitch goes fully through.
Exactly.
I like that.
So I think that's fly.
That is fly. You will have standard effect for this. This is a risky action. And I have go ahead. The consequence here is going to be just potentially more harm.
Okay.
Since you're fighting.
6.
Beautiful. So they're tied up. We see Lemon's team like coming to the defense of the crowd, and helping people get out. Maybe he starts to join the fight actually on your side. Nychelle, you want to continue your hack, right?
Yes.
You've just been set up, so you're going to have some good effect here, but I have a fun consequence for you.
Okay.
Which is that what you're doing to these machines is going to extend to the rest of this warren.
Okay.
So like hard resetting it?
Yes.
We may have taken somebody's big screens away from him.
Yeah.
Oh no. I don't feel bad about this at all.
I know Sequa wouldn't, but like people live here.
I know.
Like there are like babies and stuff crying in the background, animals running around afraid. Like this is their village essentially.
Yeah, I still don't see how how resetting the system would be a bad thing. Because I think in the end he's not using it to its full good potential. He's using it for entertainment, not using it for
We're seeing your mark
advancement.
Come through here a little bit. Go ahead. What are you rolling? You're rolling a tune again.
Yes.
Go ahead. What did you get?
6, 3, and a 2.
All right. Sequa, last time this happened, it was on a very highly damaged machine.
Yes.
This time you do it, and you are resetting the programming, and you also have a little experience now. You get some flashes of like the intelligence behind this, and you can see that like these things act this way. These ancient devices that actually have some kind of intelligence to them are all sick. They're all infected by something. And whenever you hard reset it, you are essentially like cleansing it cleansing it by fire. Like you're burning the circuits essentially and resetting it to nothing, like no programming at all. So like that's kind of what you have to do. That's the measures you have to go to burn this stuff of whatever has infected the programming. So these things won't be moving around again, right? And you see now, like you're able to stop it before it goes further than these devices. But for a moment, you're about to like hard reset the entire village. And it's not that they would be just, they would not just like be able to reboot, right? It would have, everything would go dark. But you're able to stop that before it happens. And suddenly everyone is confused. But you have a moment where you can take advantage of this confusion. You find that you and your friends are the only ones on stage, maybe along with Lemons, but you can take this opportunity to address the crowd if you want.
I think Sequa takes this moment and she's kind of panting. And she can't take her hand off of it. I think this is where you see the strain. This is where you see the strain, and she just takes a few extra moments before addressing anyone at all. And like even when she's talking, it's not like to a village, it's not to these other people to make a speech. It's like her talking to a dying soul, essentially.
We see the strain on your face as everyone's looking for you to say something. How do you feel if Lemon saves you in this moment? Like, gives you cover a little bit? By kind of like saying something of his own.
I don't think she'd notice.
Then what the audience and what the other characters notice is fireworks in the background, and then it has the sequins are the winners. And Lemons just like comes and grabs your hand and raises it up and is like, "It was a great match. One we'll remember for a long time. Thank you everyone for coming out." Like people are confused, like they're just like getting over the attack that was that. But like then he says, give the sequence a good hand and come out to our next match, the beginning of this year's tourney. Thank you, folks. We're out. And the graphics behind you like give you cover as he leads you by the hand back to the locker room. And maybe that is where we should take our second break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good.
As we leave, what is everyone feeling about what just happened? I think we know what Sequa is feeling.
Did so you mentioned that Sequa managed to avoid like shutting down the Warren? Was there like
Yeah, it totally would have ruined everything for them.
Were there moments where it like
had to
everything
find
like
a call.
flickered, or like was it
Yes.
noticeable for everybody else that it was about to happen, or?
Yeah, I like the idea that you could feel the network going in and out for a second.
Sure. I think Vholt. So it's funny because T.S.E.E.R during that whole interaction, T.S.E.E.R was like, "I see what Sequa's doing," and I was going to ask if Sequa was being transparent at all or announcing what was going on. Because I think at this point, Vholt is still completely oblivious to this happening. Like, even as like a researcher or something, he was probably much more concerned with keeping civilians safe. And there would have been like other ones going around. He was probably like trying to help New Steel warriors around. So I think Vholt probably almost didn't notice what happened until like Lemon's like the flicker happens, they stop moving, and Lemon's
there's like probably panic would set in because you might have been in even like dangerous situations where like the power could have gone out at a war and people were like, confused as to what they would do with their lives for a while.
We have to find a new place
until someone fixes. Yeah, exactly. So you might be familiar with the panic that would set in if you felt that.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that is all like the page that Volt's on. So it's like an entirely different page. Like he's basically almost like a member of this Warren more than the Pact at the moment, I guess. And it's broken by Lemon's kind of like interrupting the crowd and seeing him lead Sequa away or like helping her, I guess. And Vholt probably like roller skates over because I still got these sweet skates on. But just slightly confused, like skates over to get with the rest of the group.
Yeah. Ketu?
Yeah, I think so. So during this, I think Ketu at first, like, not aware of all this attuning stuff, thinks that, like, are these moths like a hype device, by the home team, or something?
Oh, buddy.
Right.
And then like, oh, we're fighting them now. This is cool. And then like, oh, stuff got real. It's like, and so I think it goes over to T.S.E.E.R and it's like, should we go over there and say something to her? Or...
And T.S.E.E.R?
T.S.E.E.R, as much as he can, looks really disquieted because this is the second time that he's witnessed her do that and still doesn't like the fact that she can do that. And he looks at Ketu as they walk over and says, well, I think we should follow, but it looks like maybe Lemon's Wild is taking care of her for now.
And we can maybe see that that's the case as we get out of the spotlight and Lemon has you by the hand, Sequa, but it's like leading you compassionately away, kind of a thing. As we go to our break.
Yeah. See you later, Rich. We'll be back in 5:10.